Welcome to Liberty Metals Radio. This is Joseph, and I have on the line today Sean from SGTReport.com. Sean does a really good job of generating information to people that are trying to make themselves aware of what's going on, basically the devaluation of the dollar, inflation, other tyrannical practices by our government. So I'd like to welcome you to the show once again, Sean.
Thanks, Joseph. I appreciate you asking me to come back.
Yeah, no problem. We really enjoy having you on. I know that your schedule is really busy, but we appreciate the time you give to us. So.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks. Well, I always like to say we're all in this mess together. So anything we can all do to kind of stand up for each other and speak out against this tyrannical system, I think it's all our responsibility to do that. So I'm happy to be a part of what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And from working in the metals industry, it's people would think that I'm trying to sell this, but that's not really what I'm doing. It's just too easy to have a love and a passion for it. It's more about making people aware than anything else.
Well, I think that's right. And from my perspective, I don't sell precious metals. I don't have a precious metals business. I don't have any skin in the game in terms of trying to, supplement my income or, make my income by selling silver and gold. So, my awakening to the libertarian principled purchase of precious metals in physical form just literally comes from a place of learning about the criminal monetary system, the Federal Reserve robbing us blind since 1913 through the Federal Reserve System. And when you awaken to the completely unfair, unequitable, unconstitutional monetary system under which we live, then physical precious metals, gold and silver specifically, become just an absolute no-brainer. So, what I like, you probably get this a lot from people, Joseph. They probably say, is it too expensive? Do I keep buying? Have I missed the boat because silver used to be, $5, $10 an ounce?
Mm-hmm.
The way I have started to look at this thing personally, and, I've got a bunch of physical silver, certainly more silver than gold, is that to me it's like owning a firearm. It's peace of mind, it's constitutionally principled, it's proactive, it's libertarian, and it's the smartest thing you can do, and it's something you want to keep for lots and lots of reasons. It's like having a firearm, you sleep well at night knowing you have it.
Mm-hmm. I actually saw your video of you utilizing that SIG, so bringing the firearms awareness to the people as well.
Yeah, I think that a lot of us are like-minded people, and those of us that are going to exercise all of our 10 amendments, all of our rights. One of those rights is the right to keep and bear arms, and we need to flex that muscle too, so it doesn't atrophy. Because certainly, the powers that be are going to start coming after the guns. They want to eventually disarm the people. I think that's going to be very difficult to do, but they want to do it because they can't have total control as long as there's 50 million guns in this country or whatever the number is, probably quite a bit more than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's when people question gun rights, it's like, do you understand that there is no First Amendment without the Second Amendment? Speaking of moving to unconstitutional things, I've recently become aware of this ACTA.
Right.
And
yeah, they want to kill our internet.
Right. They've been trying to do that for a while through SOPA and various other means. But one thing that's extraordinary about this is usually they at least parade Congress and have them rubber stamp whatever comes through, the international policy. But it looks like this time the executive branch is moving forward with this law, which is going to completely rewrite United States piracy law. And Congress has no authority, no say in it, no rubber stamping, nothing. It's going to be completely outside of all legislative authority. So more of that is, scary. It's troubling.
Yeah, it is. And, it's coming at us so quickly it's hard to keep up because everybody got really informed really quickly about SOPA and PIPA. And, it seems like we defeated that, at least for the time being. But, we all know that they're just playing possum, and 3 months, 6 months, a year will go by, and they're going to bring it back and rename it, or, it'll come back. And they're just going to keep coming at us. And what's troubling about ACTA is that it's world government, essentially. So for anybody that doesn't believe that there's one world government or a world government, for anybody who doesn't believe that that's actually happening, it is. Look at, the United Nations Agenda 21. That's what ACTA, I'm not saying ACTA is Agenda 21, but what I'm saying is that once we let the United Nations or any world government, one body outside of our own, constitutional government, dictate to us, what is legal and what is not legal, we're done. We're toast. And that's what they want to do. So you're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's other scary things that are developing in the world. One of the things that's interesting for the people in the gold and silver market is India and Iran have agreed to start trading oil and gold. I think when we look at the war posturing procedures or policies of the United States, right now we have a third carrier group in the Strait of Hormuz. That's the first time the United States has ever had three carrier groups in that strait. So we're definitely posturing towards a war, and I think the reason that we need to do this is because we have the petrodollar, which is essentially the only thing that's supporting the United States dollar right now. And if Iran can start trading their oil for gold, that's going to completely undermine our dollar. So it's more of that false system, the false paradigm that they built up that they need to keep on perpetuating.
Yeah, and, I know that you know this, but just to point out for the audience, because we all tend to do this when we say it's what we need to do, or the reason we need to do this is because, we've got the world's reserve currency, which, is blah, blah, blah. Well, I know you know this, but it's not we. It's no longer us, and it's not our military. It's not our government, because we know that for a fact now, because we see, Lieberman on the left and McCain on the right introduced legislation like S-1867, the Infinite Detention Bill, which was buried in the NDAA, which allows them to declare the quote-unquote homeland a battlefield and arrest any American citizen without writ of habeas corpus, without right to a trial, and put you in a military detention camp for the rest of your life. And it just proves what so many of us have been talking about for so long, Joseph, which is this government is no longer by and for the people. This government is by the central banks, and it's for the corporations. It's completely fascist. So when we talk about the third aircraft carrier group being deployed to the Persian Gulf, it's believed that it's the George H.W. Bush, but who knows which one it is. But it's going to join the Vincent and the Lincoln, and the goal here is posturing. It's to quote unquote demonstrate strength in the Straits of Hormuz, despite stern warnings from both China and Russia, which avowed to stand with Libya if Libya is attacked. So what does this all mean to the American people? Well, what it means for us, the real us, not the us that we would associate with our military strength or our posturing. What it means for the average Joe, potentially a $6 to $7 gasoline, an absolute nightmarish economy where food prices go up because the trucks can no longer afford to get food to the stores efficiently and affordably, and ultimately it could mean World War III. So maybe we should talk about Ron Paul, because the only candidate who is standing up for truth in the Constitution and the only candidate speaking out against this absolute madness of endless war is Ron Paul. And, we both know he doesn't get much of a fair shake from the media.
No, he really doesn't. They asked actually Newt Gingrich, I think, recently if he would be willing to support another gold commission to investigate a return to the gold standard. And, these are the things that Ron Paul has been consistent on for the last 25 years. He's never changed anything that he said. He's always said we need sound monetary. We need to return to the gold standard. These are the reasons why we have inflation. This is what inflation does to the middle class. He's been consistent. But then they don't ask him that question, which he was actually on that first gold commission with Ronald Reagan. So they don't ask him this question. They ask Newt Gingrich, who is, up until Ron Paul forced the issue, up until he made it clear to the American people about the Federal Reserve and their policies and how essentially it's a private organization that's just robbing the middle class of all their wealth. This was never an issue. And now you have, I don't think there's a Republican candidate now that in some form or another is not saying that we need to do something and return to sound monetary policy or return to a gold standard. So he's the one that's driving these issues.
Thank you for listening to Liberty Coin and Precious Metals interview part 1. Please click here for part 2.